about his dad. He was in the library and heard his dad, and then his dad was angry talking about these board members. And then all of a sudden he stopped, went down on his knees, and lay face down on the floor. And his prayers went to another level. I could hear him asking God to forgive them and to bless their lives. That is really powerful, to be outside yourself and just, um, I don't know, go that high road.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's good to be back with you. You can see that I am in the car on my laptop and fighting some technology today, and that's okay. I got this recording running for you guys to make sure it was up and running and recorded. And Ryan, I'm really going to be leaning on you. And here's the fun part. Good, Don's here. I'm going to be leaning on Don as well because I've got a 10:30 appointment. That being said, I had some interesting conversations with people yesterday who still wanted to dive more into chapter 3 because we really didn't cover as much of it as we could. So I want to open up, since it's Thursday here, to a quick show of hands. I can only see so many hands because not all cameras are on. How many are ready to move into chapter 4? I know Sherry is because I just heard her.
I missed yesterday those, so that doesn't count.
My computer's frozen.
So Russ, I'm more than ready. I'm in chapter 4, and I think chapter 3 was pretty damn rich. I actually, when I started reading it, I wasn't impressed, and then I got like, wow, this is good stuff. So chapter 3 would be a place we could spend some more time if anybody else is interested. I think it's a good place.
Perfect. Don Hobbs, will you lead this thing since I'm fighting technology?
Yeah.
It's all yours, brother.
All right, guys. Let's get straightened out here. Let me see who all is here this morning. Good morning, Tom. Look at that.
Hello.
Now, I wish I'd shaved for all of you, but I did not. Just happens sometimes. I was in the gym, got delayed.
Wouldn't have noticed if you didn't point it out.
Well, Tom, I just wanted to let you know, because you're always so clean shaven and good looking, that I just want to make sure that you didn't think less of me. Because after all, we're talking about our self-image and how others see us and wanting to please people. So we're going to land a little heavier into chapter 3. And if there's things that you need to bring forward because you're catching up, and again, Russ made the point weeks ago that if you get behind, sometimes it's just better to read the chapter we're in just so you can keep up, and then go back and kind of catch up from the past. So wherever you are right now is great, but we are going to focus on chapter 3 today. We'll go into chapter 4 tomorrow. And just so you know, that's the assignment for tomorrow. But what are you taking away from this? This has been an intriguing chapter for me, and I'll go into some things. I'm going to reach into my notes that I've got here. But let's jump into you guys. What are you taking away? What are you hearing? What are you reading? And how is it impacting you? What are you getting from this?
Don, I'll hop in if we're talking about chapter 3, and I'm not sure if this was brought up yesterday, but right at the beginning, that first page, when I forget who was his mentor saying, "You're not amazing. Your gift is amazing, but you are not. You're one step from stupid," and and that is like, that resonated with myself, and all of these gifts that you perceive that you have, or that you feel you're talented. It's like, that's not you. That's a gift that was given to you that you actually have. And I could bring it on to like sports, for example, in soccer, where I feel I'm a little above average player than the average Joe. And that resonated with me. It's like, that's not me. That's like a gift that was given to me that I'm able to do or whatever. And I'm just one step from stupid. So like, that was a great line for us to like bring ourselves down, because as well, I think later on in the chapters, it touched based on us being experts, and we can't really learn if we feel that we're experts. And so again, that resonated a lot. just that quote of saying you're not amazing, your gift is amazing.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting to think. I had some bristles on that one when it came up. It's like, what do you mean I'm one step from stupid? I get, it's a humble approach, and we're at any given day. I like what he's talked about. Actually, Chuck talks about in chapter 4 again, which is, we're not always perfect, and we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to be in that place of needing to be humble and to see ourselves as not perfect, to forgive ourselves, and to give other people grace so that they will give us grace as well, so that we can, and by the way, we give ourselves grace. That's the most important part. But I did have a whole thing that came up, I was like, what do you mean I'm not gifted? What do you mean? It's like, but I did get it, Caesar. I think that's pretty powerful stuff. What else did you guys get? Or playing on that, what else? Chapter 3.
Well, just
Or
to just add to that, the bottom line is the best we can do is to use whatever we have been given to benefit others. So that's like a great way. And Don, for example, like your gift probably is to be able to communicate. So you're gifting that to us because that's your natural way of being able to communicate, whereas other people are not, right? They're able maybe to type it or write it or do whatever. So that was another one that's like whatever your gift you feel that you have, if you benefit others, that's I guess where we want to reach. So just to add to that.
So I wonder, sorry, this is where I push back. Actually, this is my biggest pushback on the whole thing, which was, is anything natural for us? Is it just a natural gift? Like John Maxwell, he's a gifted speaker. He's clearly written, I think he's written like 70 books. He's a gifted writer. Is that natural or is that developed?
Well, I think there's some natural in there, and you develop it. Like my wonderful sense of humor, to me. Yeah, I mean, some people are naturally funny. Some people are naturally just gifted to write. But like I've been working on writing, and the more I write, the better I am. And sometimes you have to be told what your gift is. I'll give you an example. Bless you. I was in English class in college, and I was scared to death. And I went to my teacher and I said, hey, the next exam is going to be all written, right? She goes, yeah. And I said, oh, I'm so scared. And she said, well, just use words like certainly. And then after the word certainly, state what the truth is and then prove it. And then say, see, I told you, or whatever it happens to be. And from that became me as a better than average writer.
So developed, but do you think there's natural skills? Is Ryan a natural sales guy? Guy comes through the military, guy has so much background in it, and now look at this, doesn't want to make calls at all, right? When you and Russ Matt don't want to make calls at all. So I have a little pushback on that, but I'm just gonna say that's just a thought. Just want to instigate some conversation.
If I could add to Don, I feel the deadliest combination is when you have a natural ability and you develop it right to its highest potential. For example, like I bring it to sports, for example, there's a lot of athletes that are talented, but they don't have the hardworking mentality and the pig-headed discipline to get into the gym and to practice their shot or whatever it is. And no matter how talented you are, that hardworking player will always outperform the talented one because of conditioning, and there's a lot of factors that go into it. But so the combination of both, for example, like Kobe Bryant, yes, he was talented, but he was just insane with his mentality and how he would practice and shoot and his mentality. So that was like the highest level that we've seen compared to the MJ, who a lot of us believe was the greatest. So that's where I feel is the best, the combo of both is the natural ability, but then you also have that discipline to go behind it.
Okay, I'm going to change subjects to say, of course you believe MJ is the best. You are from Chicago. That's just BS. It's of course Kobe, because I came from LA.
MJ is the best.
MJ is the best. All right, so what else, guys? Let's get some good stuff out of this chapter, because this is a rich. This book is rich. I don't know how you guys are feeling about it, but I'm loving this.
One of the things
So
I put in
Okay, I
the,
heard a male voice, and then I heard a female voice.
I put in the chat, confident humility allows you to believe in yourself by questioning your strategies. Like, it's like having that swag, but at the same time being like humble enough to know that you're not the smartest person in the room, and understanding the grind that it takes to get you to the place that you really want to be. Like, I look at so many amazing people in this room. I'm like, how can I, achieve levels of professionalism? How can I achieve different levels of success and learn from everybody in this room? But at the same time, know where I stand, that like, yeah, I'm holding my own too. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I got from that piece. And I love that.
Hey Ryan, if you show up as humble, then you want to be around a room of people that are better than you, because you can learn. What happens if you come in as not humble and arrogant? What kind of rooms do you want to be in?
Man, oh man. If you're in a room with a bunch of other really egotistical people, I don't want to be in that room like that. But that's me.
I'm thinking, I wonder what would happen if you had an ego such that you wanted to be the best person in the room, and you wanted to be around others who made you feel
Inadequate.
no, that made you feel good about yourself. In other words, where do I go to make myself feel good? I get around people that I look at as less than me.
Yeah, you're
not
looking
as
down
smart
on
as
them.
me. I want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah, like almost they're your subjects.
They're your subjects. So in humility, I want to show up in a place where I'm the smallest player going, wow, how can I learn from these people? I have so much to gain, so much to learn. I'm open.
Right.
Otherwise, we show up and we go, I know it all. And in a know-it-all state, we know we're not going to get very far. We're not going to be growing.
I love the saying of humility isn't thinking less of yourself, it's thinking of yourself less. And so I think that's a powerful way, because I think, I don't know, for me growing up, it's humility was taught to be like, oh, I'm not very good, and no, it's not what really what it is. And so that humility, being in a group of people where you can learn from them and be humble enough to take that feedback and grow yourself as a human being. I wanted to point out on page 55, I really liked what he was saying with the what questions help us to be objective, future focused, and inclined to action, which can help us improve. And I think I haven't been doing this lately because I realize that the why questions are bad. And, people want to know why. It doesn't help us to know why. And that's why we don't oftentimes find out why. Instead, what? Let's look at the what and work on being better the next time.
Yeah, so why can actually go all the way down to victim language. Why me? Why does this kind of stuff happen to me, right? So what, how did I come to decide that? What will I do different next time? What's great about this situation? Now, why am I here? Right?
It doesn't do us any good.
Doesn't do us any good, Sherry. Love it. What else?
So that's one thing that I remember reading, Ninja Selling, that, and you just mentioned it, being a victim mindset or being a player. That was. This goes to the depth that there are a lot of different places in between being a player and being a victim. I mean, it's just not A or B. And so this is a better way to open that up, because you are going to have those days where, you may have to forgive yourself. You are going to have those days where you have to care for yourself. You sometimes have to have those days where you're more confident than you might normally be. If you're put in a situation with we we kind of got shoved in a situation, and we had a buyer and they just couldn't make a decision. We just kind of really had to nudge him along, and he's like, wow, that's what I needed. Thanks. And rather than kind of let them take front and center, we had to kind of push him more to that front and center to make those decisions. So I like the depth that this gave us more so than some of the other books we've read in the past about yourself.
Great, Josh. Love it.
So that's an excellent statement. And forgive me if I'm going backwards, guys. But one of the things that I got from this chapter is the separation of me from my particular gift. Did you guys cover that already?
Dive
This
into it.
morning?
We touched on it at the very beginning, but touch it from your perspective. What do you got?
So that's powerful because we look at ourselves as our gifts being, well, okay, I am a great leader and I happen to be, I don't know, president of a company. And so I'm great because I have this gift of doing this. And he just really shot that down and was like, that is not you. And also, that perception is dangerous because you think that is who you are, and it is not. It is just an attribute that you have been gifted. So, in my standpoint, when we're gifted with these gifts, these attributes that we're able to do things, we have to hold them gently. We have to hold them and understand that they are gifts and they are supposed to be used with this particular a particular way of doing things so that we do not either destroy the gift or destroy others with the gift that we have. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, love it. So your clarity, client, helped me because I was kind of pushing back on something Cesar said earlier, which was the same basic section. So here's what my own aha is. We are not our actions, whether they're good or bad, meaning even when we stumble, even when we fall, that's not us. That's just the things we've done. Who we are stands stronger than that. Who we are is bigger than that. Who we are is more pure than that. Who we are is greater than that. Our actions.
That is so true.
Can you say that again?
My Alexa wants to talk all about this. Yeah, so it really comes down to, by the way, we're talking about it in terms of right actions and separating out that my actions are not necessarily who I am, that it's the skills I've been given or gifted with. I just want you to see the other side of that is when you make mistakes, when you don't live up to what you believe, don't beat yourself up. Just know that it's not who I am, it's just what I did. And I can change what I did in my next doing.
That is so powerful because there are people in jail that have stolen and have murdered and have raped and have done really crazy things with their life. If they said, that is who I am, there is no possibility of redemption. None.
In their mind.
That's powerful. In their mind, yes, that is correct. Powerful. Thank you, Don.
I really want to add to that because what you started with, and then I love what you said, Don, because as client was talking about the gifts, our gifts are something we grow into. Otherwise, he wouldn't need to write this book again. I mean, how many books has he written already? And he's got new revelation for himself. A gift is what we grow into. And if you want to take it like there's a plumb line of what the excellence, the highest excellence is, and we swing back and forth across it. Like you said, it's not who we are, it's the decisions we make. And there is a priceless beauty in knowing that that you can be forgiven at any time, and we have this ability to forgive at any time. And it doesn't mean there isn't consequences from the decision that you have to walk through. It takes courage to do that, but walking through that, the consequences, but still having the clearer head the clearer vision makes the gift even more precious. And so I appreciate the gifts are who we are. They make us who we are, and it sets each of us apart. And we've each got gifts that we need from each other. The process is important, and yet we are the results that came, or the decision that came, was that it was a decision. There's a who we are that's in it, but the decisions we make about it still get to be, we get to make new decisions. And that comment about, okay, there's a data point, here's a data point, here's a data point. It's not impersonal, but it still gives you room to grow and room to change. And we get to forgive. And when we forgive, we're the ones who get healed.
Yes. Amen, sister.
Well, and anybody who has to manage a team of salespeople, you have to manage them the way you manage your children. So we would always go through and say, hey, it's not you that I'm counseling in this situation, or not your normal performance that I see is dipped in the last 30 to 60 days. Just like we tell our kids, hey, it's not you I dislike. I dislike the way you acted. I disliked the way you did this. And you also have to do that in the professional world. You can't come right at somebody, because especially today, people tend to get their feelings hurt more often now than it seems like they would 5 years ago. But you really did. You had to manage a group of salespeople the way you tried to manage your 6-year-old children. And it's similar, because it's like both herding cats sometimes. But it's just something to always remember, to separate, especially when it's something negative. Now, the difference is when you praise somebody, you definitely want to make it as much about them and everything they do. But when you have to not be so positive, you can soften it up a little bit that way.
Like you said, correcting the action, you're not attacking the character.
The character. Absolutely. Hey, by the way, it's the eagle and the hippopotamus. Is that chapter 3 or is that chapter 4?
That's chapter 3.
I was
That's what-
actually going to
Three.
say something about that, Don. That
Go
was
for it,
something
Miss
that
Lisa.
stood out to me. It was a few things, right? The pieces about self-awareness, power and choice, which Jeanette kind of just highlighted that power and choice, the forgiveness piece, and remaining a learner, right? And just that power and choice, right? I guess starting with the self-awareness piece first, just understanding that we all have a hippo and an eagle in us, right? And in knowing that we can give ourselves grace and we can give others grace. Not only that, we can, look at those things, the potential, right? And lead with that instead of looking and highlighting all the flaws and where we come short and where we're not perfect, right? He even touches on that idea of perfection, right? So that self-awareness piece, I think, definitely allows us to have that impactful influence when it comes to the power of choice, right? How are we choosing to show up? How are we choosing to take the high road? And I know in the other chapter, he kind of talks about choosing the high road doesn't always feel good, right? It doesn't always look good. It isn't always going to be the thing that everybody, the trend, right? He talked about his father in the library and dealing with some challenges at the university. And he was like, man, I want to be like my father. Instead of him taking the act of revenge or choosing to go after people because, oh, you did this to me. And he had, he probably had legitimate reasons, but he used that power of choice still to take the high road, right? And what is the high road? Giving grace, giving ourselves grace, giving others grace. And that is a thing. I look at it like a muscle, right? Certain things I guess from being in the military too, they say muscle memory. That was a thing that was embedded in us. You do a thing so much that becomes second nature. You forget even how to do it. But when something goes off, I have to act, I have to do this. Similar to what Chet mentioned too, right? It becomes that second nature. Even when Chet was in the car accident, and instead of him tensing up, he was like, relax, right? Giving ourselves that grace. And I think, it's just amazing to know that we can still be the hippo and the eagle and still be amazing beings, right? We can still function in these gifts. And then the other thing was remaining a learner. I think Chet also talked about a lot of always remaining the learner, right? You can still be the leader, but you can always learn. So how do we kind of embrace that piece and remain humble and be open to learn? So a few things that I got out of that.
Well, that whole learning piece and being a learner was also a big deal for me. And I believe it's chapter 3. I was reading ahead, unfortunately, so now I'm merging it all together. But I think the question there becomes, and there was something that struck me, and see if this came out in the chapters that you read, and that is that we need, if we are in a place where we can create a learning environment or an environment of learners, that we should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not, then we
Mm-hmm.
should find people who are learning based and get around those people. Was that part of chapter 3? Did anybody pick up on that?
So I don't know what
I wonder
chapter
if
it
that,
was, but I did
I
kind
wonder,
of.
I just wondered if anybody related to the fact that you're all sitting in a room with a bunch of learners in a very learning-based organization where people are valuing continuing to learn instead of assuming they know it all. Because I can tell you there's organizations right now that I could go to where these pros think they're so good. They're not learning. They're just being certain of what they know, which is their holdback. That's their biggest dilemma, because the world's constantly changing and the real estate world's changing faster now than ever. And they're going to be stuck because they're not in learning-based environments. By the way, if you're in this real estate business and you're looking to recruit people, what are you bringing them into? A learning environment. You're bringing them into, even if it's your influence, it's a learning environment. Thoughts?
I just
I
made a
want to add to one thing that Rita ended with about being humble. Then on page 60, it referenced that, and then it says, accepting our humanness and possessing humble confidence does nothing to diminish our leadership ability. In a study of medical students who possess doubts about their ability were just as effective in diagnosing illnesses as their confident counterparts. Furthermore, the more humble students rated higher in bedside manner, empathy, respect, and professionalism. So I want to tie it to something that I experienced 2 years ago, being at the hospital with certain doctors. That's something my wife wanted. And then the doctor was like, well, like he felt like he knew everything, right? And it was like so shocking, right? And the complete opposite was with the nurses. The nurses were like the best, right? They were open-minded about everything that she needed. And so that just struck a chord with me as well, because like you being open-minded about things in the study, rated as a higher bedside manner, empathy, respect, and professionalism. And tying back to our old other book, Empathy, which is the never split a difference. That was like a huge thing of how you negotiate by building that empathy. So I wanted to tie it in with Nefritra and the humble part.
Awesome. Cesar, thank you. I know Jeanette had something, but she just disappeared. We're past the bottom of the hour. Thanks guys for being here. Tomorrow, chapter 4, and I got to run because I'm actually doing another room right 2 minutes ago, actually. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have an awesome day. You're part of a learning organization. Thanks for being part of it.